Okay, Aisha Mahar here. With a response to a comment on the video I did, live stream I did, which by the way, I have no idea why the comments didn't show up in that live stream. YouTube processing error, I don't know, because I didn't have to edit that one. I don't edit many. So the comment is on my live stream, Surviving BPD Relationship Breakups Challenge, Your Codependent Delusions. And on the live stream, I explain what I mean by that. So I'm not using the word delusion like mental illness type of, certain things that are delusional for people with other diagnoses. So anyway, excuse me. So this commenter writes, I've been no contact for a year, but tried to engage in March during lockdown. But I didn't get a response. Nothing. I'm going through different emotions. Anger. So I want to hit out and tell her how I feel. How much, really awful treatment that she put me through. And that wasn't exactly what the comment said, I'm just rephrasing. And then sometimes I want her back mostly, and for her to validate me again. No one ever loved me as much as her. But I realized it was all lies. That's the hardest part. Will she acknowledge she has BPD? If I sent her that email to make her aware, I'm really struggling with my sense of loss and abandonment. This is very common for people with codependency. I'm not sure how old the commenter is. Can't tell by a picture, actually. But I think that no matter how old someone is, I think what's going on in the world right now is really difficult for younger people. But I think it's difficult for people in their, not that people in their 20s aren't younger than me, everybody is, right? But I think people in their 30s, 40s, etc., right up to my age and beyond. There you go. But so this commenter, the codependency is, I don't want to say severe, but it's not light, right? And so the commenter recognizes that, they were no contact for a whole year, and congratulations on that, and that is positive. And then, the situation in the world right now is causing a lot of people to re-engage, or has caused, and may still be, causing people to re-engage when they might not have otherwise, and yet maybe they would have anyways. Hard to say, right? It's an individual thing. So, and of course I got no response back. And really, I know this is hard for people to hear, but when you get no response back, when you're kind of making a mistake, if you think about your own well-being, your own mental health, need for codependency recovery, it's a gift when they don't reply. Of course, it doesn't feel like one then, does it? But really, going forward in your life, one day, when not just a commenter, but anybody that resonates with this, when you look back, if you get yourself into that healing recovery journey I'm always talking about, and then you can move forward when you heal from codependency and further healing from the relationship, to the point where you can establish and implement boundaries from a really authentic healing place, so that you won't want to ever re-engage the BPD-X again. And so after a whole year of contact, that must be really difficult for the commenter. It'd be difficult for anybody to then re-engage, reverse Hoover, and get no response, which though is a gift, like I said, when people get into their own healing recovery journey, but doesn't feel like a gift at the time. And so the commenter is going through, understandably, a lot of emotions. But here's the thing. However that relationship ended, whether or not the person was ghosted or not, I don't know, isn't clear, but there were no contact for a year. However it ended, this is somebody with codependency struggling, like so many out there, understandably, with not only a boundary, but with really getting into your own healing and recovery. Because the commenter, struggling with not accepting a relationship is over as well. And with unmet needs, obviously, but those unmet needs go back to your childhood, not just back to the ex. So now the commenter says, so I want to hit out and tell her how I feel, how much, she put him through. But then sometimes I want her back mostly. Well, there's one of the really complicated and yet base conflicts, right, between cognitive dissonance. It has a little bit of a ring of the borderline, get away closer to it, doesn't it? I'm not saying the commenter's borderline. I'm just saying, again, it's a similarity, different reasons for people with codependency. So then the person feels hurt, obviously, and said that he's struggling with his own sense of loss and abandonment. And, really gently, tenderly, I say to the commenter and anyone with compassion, that anyone that resonates with this, a year after no contact, you were doing so well for yourself. Don't be hard on yourself, but you have elongated and now created a situation for yourself that you need to take responsibility for, of re-engaging and not hearing anything. And if you'd heard something and gone around again, you'd probably be out of it by now anyway. Hurt, more hurt. Again. So the thing is, now your pain, your feelings of loss and abandonment, they aren't just what you're feeling because of the cluster B or the person that you suspect may have BPD, the ex. They go all the way back to your childhood. This is the work that people really need to do to get out of all this pain, to get out of the fear of loss, to deal with abandonment fear, to heal it. So this wanting to hit out at her to tell her in an email she has BPD, I would really hope that the commenter, anybody thinking about doing this, can try not to do that in an impulsive fashion when you're in high emotion of your own, feeling really hurt and abandoned and having trouble dealing with the loss. And for some people with codependency, having trouble being alone. And the world that we live in today, like I said to another commenter, replied to a comment on a video, I think it was 10 years old or something, just a few minutes ago, that in this world today, it's more important than ever before for people to do this healing and recovery work with codependency. It's more important than ever to know yourself, to like yourself, to be able to have self-respect, to be able to heal the dysfunctional relationship that people with codependency have with and to self. Now more than ever before is it important to be able, when necessary, due to lockdowns, etc., to be comfortable with yourself, to have security, emotional safety, and a strong sense of self, with self-esteem and self-worth, and self-respect, and be able to be okay on your own. And a lot of people with codependency aren't in that space right now. But the times we live in right now make that an even more important priority, as if it wasn't a really important priority anyway in people's lives. So start prioritizing yourself, not thinking about the cluster B. And especially to the commenter, after a year of no contact, what does that mean? Well, you've proven you can do it. So now you're starting again at day 1 or 2 or however many days it's been, and just start that all over again. The only difference, I think, that it sounds like you need is to get into a healing recovery journey and really work with somebody who knows this area inside out so that you won't want to re-engage again. And I would also say to the commenter and anyone else thinking about this, I hope for your sake you don't send the email, because hitting out at her, telling her she has BPD, whether she does or she doesn't, she's diagnosed, I'm sure, people don't get this totally wrong. The point is, she's likely just not, she's probably got you blocked. She's likely not going to receive it. If she receives it, she's not going to care. She's not going to care what you say. No offense to you. But why do that to yourself? Because what that is, and I mean this really respectfully with compassion, if you hit out at her to tell her she has BPD, then how are you respecting yourself? Who do you want to be? How do you want to conduct yourself in your life in the world? That's a question for a lot of people with codependency to ask and journal about as well. And then the commenter said, but, they want to hit out and send an email, but then even more so, it seems, they really want the person back again to be validated again. Well, dear commenter and anyone else who resonates with this, please understand this is part of what you need to do in your own healing and recovery journey, not only from having a relationship with somebody with BPD or suspected BPD or whatever the case is for people. And most of these people, by the way, are untreated with BPD. It's really important that you get in your own healing and recovery work so that you can validate yourself. We really can learn. I learned that, 3 decades plus ago. We really can validate ourselves and be okay with that. So it's people with codependency needing to learn how in a healing and recovery journey from the cluster B relationship and your childhood and a lifetime worth of how you've been feeling with the low self-esteem, the low self-worth. And maybe, for some people with codependency, it's really appropriate to say excessive needs that are externalized out to all the wrong people. And even there isn't a right person out there to externalize your needs out to, because you need to get into therapeutic process to heal and recover, to be able to meet those needs for yourself, and more to the point, to understand why you have codependency and why you're not able to meet those needs for yourself right now. There's nothing healthier and more wonderful than being independent enough, which is independence is not codependence, to be healthy and independent enough to be able to validate yourself, be okay wherever you are, be able to trust yourself. It's that whole creating a healthy relationship to and with self takes a lot of healing, inner child work, family of origin work, self-differentiation. Those are just 3 of the big keys. But there's a lot more work involved in there too. So again, I encourage people, I'm out here to work with you if you resonate with me, but if not with me, please get into a healing recovery journey of your own. Otherwise, more people than not with codependency are going to stay stuck in the cycle that the commenter is in. And I mean that with all due respect. I feel for you. And then to say, and I hear you, I understand, I really do. No one ever loved me as much as her, but I realized it was all lies. So there's massive cognitive dissonance right there, right? No one ever loved me like she did, says the commenter, but I realized it was all lies. So there's where you have to follow your head. Like I said, work with somebody and not follow your heart. Your heart's like, well, nobody ever loved me like she did. But your head's like, but it was all lies. So what does it mean when you say nobody ever loved you like she did? Because obviously she didn't love you. That's not about you. That's not a statement about anything, that's undesirable about you. It's about untreated people with BPD who don't love, don't attach, can't love, haven't loved, won't love you. And they don't attach unless and until they get significant treatment. So this is somebody who's really been wounded in childhood, as I'm sure many other people out there with codependency have. These needs need to be addressed in therapy so that you can heal the woundedness of your inner child and understand that better. And if you send that email to the answer to the question, will she acknowledge she has BPD? No, she probably won't even answer you. You've already tried to engage her. She's in the variety of untreated BPD moved on, maybe more than once by now, depending on the time frame. No, you don't send that magical email to hit out at somebody, by the way. Look at your motivation for it. Because you're in a world of hurt that you need to take care of, that she can't help you with, and that you need to work with a therapist to help you. So, would she acknowledge she has BPD? Highly unlikely. And even if she did, how's it going to help you? You're still going to be feeling loss and abandonment and have the unmet emotional needs that you have, whether she would say she has BPD or not. And then even if she would answer you and tell you, yeah, I got diagnosed, or yeah, I know that, and I'm going to therapy now. That's not a reason for hope. That's not a reason to get back together. That's not a reason to ever put your heart into that vice again, because you're still aching a year later. because people who get into treatment with BPD can heal and recover. They do heal and they do recover. But it takes 8 to 16 years. So you have to move on. You need, to the commenter and anyone that resonates with this, you need to get into your own healing and recovery process. You need to take responsibility for you now. Not how she hurt you, not how she wouldn't answer you, but you need to take responsibility for how you're going to chart your own healing and recovery and the rest of your life. And how you can learn that you are enough and you can validate yourself. It doesn't mean we want to be islands, right? But learning how to be healthy with oneself first, healing from codependency to be an independent person, there's just nothing like it. I highly recommend it. These journeys aren't easy, but the rewards are great. And then the commenter said, struggling with sense of loss and abandonment. So I've been working, I'm always working with clients, and I've had clients recently, and in, whatever period of time, that especially with the situation, with, what's going on in the world, lots of people have re-engaged that might not have otherwise, and been ghosted or re-ghosted or ignored. And, so there's a heightened need for people to not be alone. People with codependency, like I said, not all are the same, but many people, it sounds like the commenter, has difficulty being alone, doesn't know how to maybe self-soothe, doesn't know how to validate himself, feels like he needs the other person for that, misses her, but kind of like doesn't want to, deal with it either. So that means that it's time to deal with oneself in a healing and recovery journey. So I'm going to list under this video other videos I've done recently or maybe in the past that would help people to watch. And I love people's comments. Leave as many comments as you like. Support each other. Ask me questions. Whatever you have to say about videos I do, that's all good. The thing is that I would like to, I'm going to start leaving comments under comments. With these videos, I'm going to start listing many videos that I've done that could help people like this comment or asking these questions. So not helping in place of therapy, but help you to start thinking about why it really wouldn't be healthy or positive for you to send her that email in a lashing out fashion, or even if you weren't lashing out, even if you weren't feeling hurt and angry. And that people with codependency need to take responsibility for how you feel now. It's not about taking responsibility for what the person with BPD did at all. But what about where you're at right now? Especially when somebody has re-engaged, the world situation is different, things are tougher, absolutely. But re-engaging them is never worth it. So I hope this will help the commenter. I hope this will help others who might resonate with the commenter. And yes, I could speak to the reason for the question, but the reason for the question is obvious. This person is really hurting. This person has been having a tough time, but went no contact for a year. And then things happen in the world that influence people's decisions that aren't the best for them. But when people are alone or in the lockdown, or some places are in that again, or, I think we're all about to be in that again, people have to learn how to cope. And the answer is therapy. And I'm out here to help you if you resonate with me. And in the meantime, in the meantime, the part of these messages I'm not going to leave out is, now you as a codependent are responsible for your healing journey, for what you're left with, for the hurt, for the betrayal, for the abandonment, for maybe the monkey branching, whatever happened. I'm not saying that was all in this commenter's case, I don't know. But see, that's what the person with BPD did and more, and they're responsible for that. But you can't really hold them responsible, and you can't get closure, and really you're just going to hurt yourself all over again if you re-engage. So these are the repetition compulsion patterns within the unhealthy relational style and pattern of what codependency really means. This is what you need to heal and change to find your way forward to being the best you can be, and being someone who can love themselves, like themselves, love themselves, and be on their own and be independent when need be, or when one chooses to be. So I hope that was helpful to someone out there. I'm going to have a list of videos with a comment, the comment that I can pin under the videos. I'll list some videos right there and or in the description box, because when I get these questions from a lot of people, I don't mind answering here and there, or I answer back when I can the comments just in text. But please avail yourself of watching. I have now, I think it's 500 and almost 10 videos on here, and growing every day. And there's a lot of them out there. Some go way back 10, 11 years now. Some 3, 4, 5, 8, 9 years, whatever. Some are 2 to 3 years old. And some are just I did yesterday and the day before. And they can all help you. So if you're not watching enough of my videos, perhaps, because this question is answered over and over, but then maybe some people need, really respectfully, maybe some people need to hear things way more than one time. But I would, I've never said this before, and I should have been saying it all along. Check out more of my videos. If you've just watched a couple or a few, there's a whole lot more out there. I did, on the last video I did yesterday, I put up, somebody asked a question about, what's up with this BPD ghosting? And I listed, and I just meant to put 2 or 3 videos in there. I think I listed 8 to 10 where I've talked about that. So, and I have something else coming something else coming on that soon for you about BPD ghosting, more like the anatomy of it and why is it really happening. But the answer isn't to lash out. The answer isn't to recontact the ex. The answer is not to try to tell them they have BPD. The answer is to look at your codependency. The answer is to get into your own healing recovery journey. Take care.